Ultimately, the gel has a color and a taste, and so pigs are naturally attracted to it. And like you mentioned there, Clayton, there are advantages to oral, the convenience of oral vaccines, and if a gel is consumed, a pig could potentially vaccinate itself, and so that's what we were excited by.
Welcome to the Swine Health Blackbelt Podcast, the latest swine health research digested for you. My name is Dr. Clayton Johnson. I'm the host of the podcast. And joining me in our illustrious podcast studios this week is Dr. Fernando Leite. Dr. Leite is an associate director of technical marketing with 𝗟𝗻𝗄 Animal Health. Dr. Leite, welcome back to the podcast. I know you've been on here a couple of times, and I think most everybody knows you, but just in case somebody's been sleeping under a rock for a little while, why don't you start with an introduction to the audience?
Thanks, Clayton. Yeah, pleasure to be here. My name's Fernando. I'm Brazilian originally and graduated from veterinary school there. Got a master's degree at Iowa State University on veterinary microbiology and immunobiology, and then got a PhD in Minnesota there on veterinary infectious diseases. Oh, and in Beringer, now ever since, yeah.
Well, you and 𝗟𝗻𝗄 are both curious investigators of new technologies and new solutions for farms. And I know, Fernando, you have worked hard with others at 𝗟𝗻𝗄 on some novel vaccine administration technologies. And I want to give credit to 𝗟𝗻𝗄 for being a leader in this area for a long time, right? The 𝗬𝗟𝗁𝗀 platform allows us a way to get vaccines into pigs that is practical, right? Historically, that's been through water, like with the 𝗬𝗁𝗀 product. But I know you're working on something even a little bit different than that. You want to talk to us about the novel vaccine administration approaches that you've been studying?
Yeah, for sure. We're really excited by this method, and we've found some great results too. But ultimately, what we've evaluated is a gel. And it's a gel. It's commercialized by Animal Science Products, the gel that we utilized. And ultimately, the gel has a color and a taste. And so pigs are naturally attracted to it. And like you mentioned there, Clayton, there are advantages to oral, the convenience of oral vaccines. And if a gel is consumed, a pig could potentially vaccinate itself. And so that's what we were excited by. And we did quite a lot of research evaluating this gel in our 𝗬𝗟𝗁𝗀 vaccines. And so this gel, it's pretty much, you can apply it. We applied it to the 𝗟𝗻𝗄 mat.
Okay.
Just thinking that the mat is easier than the underline of a sow. A sow can be standing up, she can be laying down. The mat is always there. We've also identified a really convenient backpack that makes this process so fast. We found we can vaccinate 48 litters in 3 minutes.
Wow.
With this backpack. And so pretty much, the process is combining the gel with the vaccine, and putting the gel in the 𝗟𝗻𝗄, in the mat there, and letting the pigs consume it. And in essence, they vaccinate themselves, and it's really, really convenient and really fast.
Salmonella presents significant challenges to pig health and performance and poses food safety risks to humans. As the first and only vaccine offering live attenuated strains of both Salmonella 𝗁𝗁𝗀𝗁 and 𝗽𝗹𝗁, Enterosol Salmonella TC from Boehringer Ingelheim protects pigs against both serotypes with a single oral dose. Talk to your Boehringer Ingelheim representative to learn more.
That's awesome. Fernando, there are people who work on farms listening to this right now who want to give you a great big hug. 48 litters in 3 minutes. I mean, that is unheard of, right? That's outstanding, considering that would take hours and hours for teams of people on farms to do today. And I've given thousands and thousands and thousands of vaccines to pigs and not really enjoyed all of that time. It's hard work and stressful for the pigs. So that's super awesome. Talk to us a little bit about, how does the gel work? Are pigs actively consuming it off of the mat? I assume that has to be a huge part of the mechanism of action. Are they rolling around in it and licking it off of themselves? How
Hmm.
ultimately is it getting into the pig and giving us a successful vaccination?
Yeah. So, you know, they're naturally curious, and then the gel does have a color and a taste. And um, as soon as you apply it, if you go back to it within, a minute or very quickly, you'll see that they're immediately drawn to it, and they will consume it, they'll lick it, and they'll even go back to it. That's another interesting thing. And so they'll consume it, they'll ingest it, and that's ultimately how they get vaccinated as well. We've done trials evaluating if they are consuming or self-administering, if you will, the vaccine, and they surely do with the gel.
Yeah. Well, let's think like a pig owner now, Fernando, maybe somebody that is responsible for the P&L of the pig farm, and says, yeah, it's great. We can vaccinate 48 litters in 3 minutes, but does it work? Have you guys been able to do
Yeah.
any sort of trials on the efficacy of this approach, comparing it to how we would traditionally give, say, a vaccine, a salmonella, a Lawsonia, that sort of thing?
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that question, Clayton, because that's very important, right? Does this in essence really work? And the only way to answer that was through research trials, and we've conducted a few, and we've conducted them both with Lawsonia and with Salmonella. And in each instance, we compared it to either, with Lawsonia, we compared it to traditional drinking water, and with Salmonella, we've compared it to individually drenching each pig. The Lawsonia trial we did actually had 540 pigs in an orally vaccinated through water, orally vaccinated through gel,
Okay.
and the efficacy of both groups compared to a non-vaccinated group was really equivalent. And so that trial gave us confidence that this could be is an efficacious approach. With the Salmonella trial we did, we compared directly individually oral drenching pigs to administering the gel to a litter. And we, in that instance, individually challenged each pig, and the protection conferred through traditional oral drenching and the gel were also equivalent. And I think to have confidence, you can only assess really vaccine efficacy with controlled challenge, and that's what we did. And some people have already tried this in the field, and the feedback that we've gotten is pretty positive. So the information we have so far is this is quite exciting and new, and it seems like it works pretty well.
I got a million questions for you, right? It opens up so many questions about other pathogens, right? Other applications. But let's start with the practical one for what you've researched so far. For Salmonella _𝗟𝗃𝗏𝗃 timing, how old should these pigs be to get the optimal vaccination, both from an immune standpoint, but then also from a practical standpoint of the pigs are consuming that gel right away?
Yeah, great question. The research we've done is generally around 14 days of age, particularly for the Lawsonia or the Salmonella vaccine. So I would say 14 days of age or older, they will interact with the gel pretty well, and they will, um, you know, get that vaccine pretty well. The trials we've done have been ages 14 days and older.
Okay. So if you've got, say, a 22-day wean age, you could vaccinate the farrowing house every 4 or 5 days and hit, 4 or 5 days worth of wean pigs at that time. It's not something you got to give specifically on one day. You got some flexibility to maybe do this once a week or twice a week for the pigs that are going to be weaned in the near future.
Yes, absolutely. I wouldn't go too young. Sometimes if a pig is too young, say 3, 4, 5 days of age, sometimes they don't interact as well with the gel. But all of the information we've seen so far, 14 days and older, it works pretty well.
So for somebody who's saying, I got a bunch of pigs to vaccinate tomorrow, I don't want to do it the way I was planning on doing it. Where do I get the backpack? Where do I get the gel? Where do I get the mixing
Hmm.
instructions? Reach out to
Hmm.
your Behringer Tech Services person, or is this stuff readily available? Can we buy this from Animal Health International, something like that?
Yeah. You can buy all the materials from their suppliers. I would encourage you to reach out to Boehringer Ingelheim for any training purposes. We do have training material and some material to facilitate the calculation of how much gel you need, how much vaccine you need, and how to use the backpack and things like that. So I'd encourage to reach out to Boehringer Ingelheim. But yes, there are, you can find the gel through Animal Science Products. You can find the backpack and Tractor Supply, but it is a specific backpack. I think it'd be easier to reach out to a Boehringer Ingelheim representative there.
Very good. Fernando, this is awesome stuff. It is rare in the pig world that practical and efficacious come together, right? But if we can bring those things together with all the challenges we have with labor on pig farms, and the reality is that vaccinating individual pigs is difficult work. I really appreciate your efforts here, and I encourage you to continue to explore this with other pathogens in the future. The less we have to get needles into pigs, the better.
Really appreciate that, Clayton.
Yep. Thanks for coming on the show, Fernando, and thanks to our audience for being a part of this. Please check out the website, swinehealthblackbelt.com, and please make sure to subscribe so that you don't miss out on all the awesome episodes we put out every Friday. For Dr. Fernando Leite, I'm Dr. Clayton Johnson. Thanks for joining us, and please have a great rest of your day.